Hi, welcome to my latest video. Today I'm going to do a very quick video showing how to remove the plastic sill covers on a Freelander 2. These plastic bits here at the bottoms of the doors, that's not the sill covers. The sill covers are underneath those. Okay, so it's this plastic strip here. It goes all the way from the front wheel arch all the way to the back wheel arch and can trap mud and water behind it, okay, which will then rot the actual steel sill, which is part of the body of the car, which is hidden by these plastic covers. So these covers are sort of kind of cosmetic, but they're sort of protection as well. They're designed to keep the mud and stones and things away from the sills, but what can happen is they are sort of a victim of their own success, really. They actually work so well that they stop mud and water sort of getting washed out that gets behind there, okay, and that will then sit against the steel and can, worst case, actually rust it so badly that you end up with holes in the steel sill, which would fail the MOT if the MOT tester could see them, but you probably won't be able to because the plastic sill covers are fitted. It's one of those things where if you've not removed yours, you ought to remove them. What you find underneath, you may wish you never removed them, okay? So this car's 15 years old. I did the other side this morning and was pleasantly surprised that there was hardly any rust at all. A little tiny bit of surface rust in a couple of places, that was it. This side, who knows, it might be worse, might be better. I'm going to do this one now and I'm going to film it and show you how to remove it, show you what's underneath, and show you what I'm going to do to deal with any rust that is found, okay? So if you've not removed yours, you might want to give it a go. It's one of those things, really, you might prefer just to kind of not know and keep them covered up. But my recommendation would be, if there is rust there, you really do need to find it and deal with it. Don't ignore it. So how are these sill covers held on? Well, behind the cover along the top are a series of little sort of snap thingies like this, okay? So that bit goes on the car, okay, so that's on the steel sill, and then there is a white, well, it's not white, it's black actually on the factory ones, but the ones I bought on eBay as a replacement are white and yellow, and this bit kind of hooks into a little sort of channel on the back of the plastic sill cover. Okay, I'll put up a link to the eBay listing for these. Okay, it's worth buying some replacements because sometimes they can snap when you remove the sill cover from the car. Along the bottom of the sill cover, underneath, are a series of recesses. I think there are 6, and each of those sort of holes has one of these horrible plastic rivety things. It's kind of like a rule plug. It sort of expands and you stick it in, and then you put the screw in, but the screw is plastic as well. Okay, so undoing those can be a bit of a game. I mean, they'll turn, but you usually need to use a sort of a pry thing, trim pry bar thing, to kind of ease them out. And you'll probably find that the cross in the top of the plastic screw gets a bit chewed up as well, so it might be worth buying some more of those. I'll put up a link to those. What I've done on the other side, because I did the other side earlier today, is I actually replaced the black plastic screw with a stainless steel screw. So I actually put in a stainless steel screw and reused the black plastic rivets. Okay, now this screw is a number 10 4.8 millimeter stainless steel screw, A2 stainless, and that is 19 millimeters long, 3/4 of an inch long. So what else do you need? Okay, quick run through of all the things I've got here. You need something to lie on. Garden kneeler, really useful. don't put the car up on ramps or axle stands, okay? There's a kind of tendency to think, oh well, I'll lift this side up, I'll get the jack and the axle stands and lift both wheels off the ground. The problem then is the doors are going to keep slamming shut, and you could kind of put a bit of wood or something in to kind of prop them open. It's actually perfectly doable with the car just sitting on its wheels on the ground. You don't need to put the car up on ramps. If the doors slam shut, you're going to have your fingers in there. It's not going to end well, okay? So keep the car level, don't jack the car up, open the doors out, and then you can do everything you need to do. So I've got the kneeler, I've got the tarpaulin, I've got some white things as well, because it can be a bit muddy and mucky behind there, so you probably want a wire brush. I've got a wire brush there, and if you do this sort of job in the summer, it's kind of a heavy showers kind of day to day, so I'm trying to do this in between showers. Bit of a grey cloud come over here actually, I hope it's not going to rain, but doing it in the summer is much better, because then when you remove that, all the dry mud sort of just falls out. Okay, so there's a sort of pile of dry mud there that fell out earlier when I did the other side, and if you do it in the winter, it's just going to be a real mess. Okay, so everything's going to be wet, and then you're going to be putting the covers back on with wet steel, and it's just leave it to the summer. Do it in the summer when it's warm and dry. The other reason for doing it in the summer is if you want to do a bit of rust proofing. So there are various brands available. So I use Built Hamber, which is this Hydrate 80. You can also get Rust-Oleum and Genelite and Q-Rust and all those kind of, they're all very, very similar products, but it's always kind of nice if that dries quickly. Okay, so you put it on, the car's warm, the air's warm and dry, and that'll dry. Doing it in the winter in the rain is just going to be a pain. And I'm also lano guarding mine. Okay, so I've got the spray and moto spray stuff here. Not spraying the steel sills with this. Okay, I actually use the motor grease, and now on a really hot day, that you can literally just get it out and brush it straight on. Today it's not quite warm enough. You can sit it into a bowl of hot water. I prefer to just warm it slightly with a I'll show you. Just literally just get a creme brulee blowtorch and just very, very carefully just waft it on the top of the greasy, waxy stuff. Don't melt the can, the pot, of course. You just literally, it's just the warm air, and then you'll find that look, and it's then softened, and you can brush it on. Okay, so that I'm putting on any rust. On the other side, I actually just painted the entire sill with it, really, just to give extreme protection should any water and mud get in there. There was quite a lot of dry mud on the other side, not much rust, but a lot of dry mud caught up behind the plastic cover. There are a few holes along the steel sill, and that's where this comes in. Okay, so this is the spray lano guard. It's the sort of runny stuff in the bottle, and you can just blast a spray in through all the holes. There's a couple of rubber grommets as well, which you can actually remove and spray in, and really just spray a load of it in there until it starts to sort of drip out from the various sort of gaps and things underneath. Okay, so you the more the better, really, with that. This is the one bit of the car, I think, where you just want to plaster that lano guard on, really. Whack it all on, total rust protection, put the covers back on, and then you know that if any water or mud does get up there, there's a hefty dose of sheep wool juice, which is going to drive that moisture out, stop it getting onto the steel. That is it, really. The only other thing I've got is a dirty rag, just for kind of wiping the inside of the plastic. When I remove it, it might need sort of hosing down and wiping. And right, okay. I'm going to now get on the ground, on the tarpaulin, get underneath. A pair of goggles, actually. I haven't got some goggles here. Goggles are kind of useful because you're underneath working up, trying to remove those rivety things, and the amount of mud and dust and stuff that was falling in my face when I was doing the other side. I'm going to go and get a pair of goggles, I think, actually, because it was getting in my eyes. Well worth doing that. Gloves as well, plastic gloves as well, if you don't want to get the lanyard guard all over yourself. Yeah, that is it. So I'm going to make a start. I'm going to remove the rivets, remove the sill covers by unpopping. I'm going to unpop it from the back, carefully sort of working towards the front. Now at the front, if you've got mud guards, you'll need to remove those. Okay, so I have, and I actually removed those 2 weeks ago when I did the lanyard guarding in the front wheel arches. Okay, I didn't bother filming that because that there was no rust or anything really. I just removed the front wheel arches and sprayed with the sprayed it all in there. The screws on the mudguards were very rusty, so I replaced with stainless, same screws that I was talking about earlier, and I'm now going to unscrew them, remove them. This cover here, it's easier if you remove that. Okay, so that has two poppers on the other side at the top. You just literally pull it out. Okay, at the bottom there's a kind of hook thing, and you'll see that when I remove it. It kind of hooks onto a kind of protruding bit on the front of the sill cover. Okay, you don't have to remove that. Okay, so I did see Powerful UK did a video where they were fitting some side steps, and they unpopped the sill cover and then just sort of pull it out from the back of the cover thing at the front there, whatever that piece is called. Okay, but I found when I did the other side it was so much easier to unpop that and just remove it from the car. It just means then that the sill cover can come straight off. You haven't got to try and slide it outwards. Okay, right, I'm going to do that. That's going to come off, mudguard off, take out the rivets, and then I'll unpop that. Right, there's the mudguard off. So this is held on by two screws there, 19mm, 4.8mm number 10 stainless screws that I've used there. A little bit of a snug fit in the kind of a threaded thing that they go into. I think it's called a chimney clip or something like that. This sort of a clip that kind of goes over the bit of metal, but it bites in nicely. Okay, so at first I tried the 4.2mm. It was just a bit of a loose fit, so I went up to 4.8, and there is also a hole here. I'm going to use a repair penny washer there because that hole is starting to kind of rip out. Okay, so I need to sort of spread the load on that one. So I shall use the mudguard as a convenient place to put all of the screws and things that are coming off. Right, so now this panel here, it just pops off. Now this is where you've got to be careful with your fingers. Reference the comment I made earlier about the not jacking the car up. Okay, so you've got to try to kind of do this very carefully. There you go, it just pops off. Okay, so now that's interesting. One of those is missing. It's still on there. Okay, good job I bought some spares. Okay. So you can see now how these popper things work, and they're exactly the same on the sill cover. So you kind of like a piece that goes in a hole on the car, it's got a little ball on it, and then there's a little socket there. There should be one here, but that has come out, gone missing, so I shall replace that before I refit that. to change that later. This is the metalwork, which was very rusty. So this is the mud flap metalwork. You'll only have this if you have mud flaps fitted. I wire brushed this and sprayed it with black paint, just because it was corroding very badly. Now what I need to do is I need to get hold of another one of these springy clip things and put one here. It needs one here, and this hole here is meant to have a little plastic rivety thing in, which I do actually have some spares of those, so I'm going to do that before I reassemble. Now I need to work my way along underneath and remove all of the black rivet things from underneath. I shall take the camera off the tripod momentarily and show you what I'm talking about. So underneath, it's a bit difficult to see, but you can see these recesses. There's one there, not that, that's the jacking point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, not the jacking point. Okay, so there's two jacking points and 6 recesses, and up inside each of those recesses you should see, there you can just see it, there's a little black plastic rivet and screw. Okay, the same as the one I showed earlier. So you have to remove those first. Okay, right, I've removed all of these horrible rivety things. These are an absolute pain to remove. You start undoing the screw. If you're lucky enough to actually get the screwdriver bit to engage and turn the screw, then it just spins. The minute you get the pry tool underneath the body, the screw stops turning and mashes up the cross in the middle. The only way to get these out is to pick at it until you can actually pry the screw head itself away from the rule pluggy rivety thing. Okay, once the screw comes out, and these are plastic, so you can just prise them out. Okay, they just come out, and then you can then remove that when it squashes. Okay, it took a while to do that. That was probably about a good 20 minutes to half an hour just to remove those 6 plastic rivets. What I need to do now is open the doors up. So you don't need the doors open to remove these, but you do need the doors open to actually unpopper the sill cover. So I'm going to try and put the camera on the tripod again and try to somehow position the camera so you can see this without the doors sort of blocking the view. Right, let's start at the back. Let's move that in a bit. Right, okay. Start at the back, and you see that bottom is now coming loose. Oh, you get a face full of dust when you do it. Okay, and then just carefully unpopper this. And now there are about 8, I think, poppers. Oh, 1, 2. Now you can see the mud starting to fall out already. Come on. 3. Right. Let's get the driver's door open. 4. It is fiddly doing this. You can't get in here, you can't get your fingers. There's nothing to grab. There we go. 5, I think. 6, 7. Come round. No, can't get round that way. Do it this way. Come on. 8. 9. I think it was 9. Okay. Right, well, it's off. Okay. Not too much mud trapped. It is quite muddy, but there's not like big clumps of mud that the other side had a big load of mud. I had to actually sort of sweep it out. The other thing I'm noticing is there's no obvious rust. Right, let's get this off the tripod again. Right, so when you look at this, you don't see any rust and it all looks great. But then you look underneath. Okay, this is pretty good. That is mud, not rust. A little bit of rust there, a little tiny bit there, but it's just kind of very, very light surface rust, just where the spot welds have gone on. For some reason it's just rusted there more than anywhere else. Let's have a look towards the back. Right, okay, this is worse. This worst bit is here near this jacking point. Okay, so hopefully you can see that there. Okay, so that is the worst of it. So that'll get wire brushed, and I think it's because mud has got in there, that gap, and sort of gone in and then sat. And also, don't forget as well, when I jack the car up, it will scrape up this, and that's probably allowed water just to kind of get in to the different layers of the metal there. This grommet is removable. Really, really useful for injecting in Lanagar. There's a couple of other grommets as well. You've got one here. I don't know if that's removable. That one there also looks removable. You can remove those, get a good load of liquid sprayed in there. Right, I'm going to clean this up now and wipe it down, wire brush it generally, get that looking nice. The sill cover itself isn't too bad. Yeah, so some of these, this one, 4 of these left their little receptacle thing. 1, 2, 3, 4 haven't got this thing. It's probably stuck on the car still. Yeah, okay, so that's one thing to look out for, okay. On the other side, only one of them did that. The 4 on this side. I think you have to get under. I'm not sure where you have to. Yeah, you have to get under the back of it. Oops. Right, now the whole thing's come out and it's left a hole. Oh, dearie. This is why it's a good idea to get spares. of these. I don't think it actually broke that one, it just, the whole thing came out instead of separating. Right, that's what should happen. It just unpops, you see, and that bit goes back in the kind of little slots on the sill cover. As long as it's got like a little ball thing there, then it's working. Right. Okay. I thought there were 4. 1. Okay. I'll try and separate those or replace them and give this all a good clean up. Okay, so I've cleaned up the metal sill, I've wire brushed it, I've wiped it with a cloth, and then I've wiped it with a sort of wet wipe just to kind of get rid of any mud and dust that's there. I'll let that dry now in the sunshine. So you can see here things are looking pretty good actually. That's not too bad. All quite nicely, nice shiny sort of painted metal. There's a little bit of rust around here, sort of here, that needs dealing with. So what I'm going to do now is get the Lanagard spray, spray it in through any holes that I can see, not just the big grommet holes, but there's threaded holes and all sorts. Just spray as much in there as I can all the way along, and then I'm going to get my creme brulee, lamb brulee motor grease, which I might need to use the blowtorch again on that, although that's just about brushable. Brush a thick coating of that all the way along, especially underneath around the jacking points. So on some of these little rust patches, I'm just going to put a little bit of this built amber stuff. It's just a bit of extra protection that will convert the rust to probably iron phosphate. I think it's phosphoric acid based, most of these rust preventions are. And I need to put a bit underneath there. Now one thing I've noticed here is this is sort of double skinned metal here, okay, so you want to get, as well as getting some through the hole inside, you want to get Lanagard in between those two as well. Try and inject a bit, it's a bit messy and a bit fiddly, a bit up in there, all these little holes like that, doesn't matter if it drips a bit, and then work my way along, pull out any grommets and squirt as much of this as I can inside, and then I'll go over with the thicker stuff. So once the rust proofer is set or cured or dried, whatever it does, I'm then just giving this a thick coating of this Lanagard motor grease, which is the super thick stuff. Obviously don't put too much on, you're going to end up blocking up the drain holes, which will cause problems, but a good coat of this should keep the water away from the steel, hopefully. Okay, so that is all rust proofed and Lanagarded all the way along, And then the cover, I've cleaned all the mud off that, jet washed that with a hose, and just let that sit in the sun and dry. One thing to watch out for when you refit this, you want all of those poppers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you want all of them to locate and pop as you go along. These ones here seem to sort of sit fully back into their little kind of slot. These ones here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are near the front, so the front has got this funny bit here, they don't go all the way down like that. Okay, they sit halfway, and there's a little tiny a couple of little sort of teeth there. Okay, so that just sits halfway, not fully in. Okay, so that is the front 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the front 5, and then the rearmost 4 do slot fully in, well, the 3, and then that one there's got a different sort of shaped kind of thing altogether. Okay, so that one I think goes up from underneath. So just make sure that they are all in the right place, otherwise you'll go along and you'll get halfway along and it won't click on, it won't pop and stay on the car, which will be really annoying because you then have got to pull it all off again. Right, I'm going to try and refit this now. We'll see what happens. I'm going to start at the front because I removed it from the back first. Okay, so I'm just going to put it back on the opposite way to the way I removed it. Right, this is where it gets fiddly. Round to the back. 6, 7, 8. Now there's a 9th one here somewhere which hasn't popped. It's there. Oh, come on. So it's a bit right between the doors. See if I can get that one. There we go. That's it, 9. Good. Right, now I need to go along underneath and put those rivety things back in, but with stainless steel screws. Okay, so that is the sill cover rivets refitted along the bottom. I now need to refit this thing here. Now one of these is missing, so I'm going to have to dig out one of my spares, and also I always find these things kind of break off. One end's still attached, which is enough to sort of locate it. It's not really a structural thing, it's more of a thing to help you kind of locate it on there, and then the mud flap sort of holds all that on with 3 screws. Okay, so it's not going to go anywhere, it's just a bit annoying that that is like that. I think it's broken away, pretty sure it has. Maybe it's meant to be like that, I'm not sure. I don't know, but that kind of locates onto this funny bit here. Try and do this one-handed. Right, okay, that's better. And now we've got 3 holes for the mud flap to go on. Okay, there we go. All back together, rust-proofed for another 15 years. Fitted with stainless steel screws, the lanyard guard, the built hamber rust treatment. That's one less thing to worry about. And amazingly, it hasn't rained. Although give it time, I'm sure it will rain soon. I'm going to pack up now, go inside, get this video edited, try and upload it tonight. I hope that video was useful. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you, bye.